Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Queen Sugar, Season 2, Episode 13, and the name of this episode is Heritage. Y'all, this was a really good episode. Oh my God, my mouth dropped at the end of this episode, but trust me, I'm going to get to that. But before I get started, first, let me offer my love and condolences to two great talents that have recently passed, Robert Gilliam and Fats Domino. Rest in peace, my brothers. You know, you will never be forgotten. You know, Robert Gilliam was a great actor. You know, definitely was definitely a pioneer in black entertainment, as well as Fats Domino being, you know, one of the geniuses of rock and roll. And you know, it actually pains me that, you know, we're losing some of our great legends, but they'll never be forgotten and they'll always be with us. Also, let me send out my condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedies in Las Vegas, as well as everyone that was affected by Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. And if you can give any relief or any support, please do so, because our fellow man needs our help. And also, you know, pay your love and respect to both Robert Gilliam and Fats Domino. Okay, now, the episode opens up with Ralph Angel and Darla. We can definitely see that the love is there with them, and we also see that Ralph Angel actually took Hollywood's advice and actually called that shrimp processing company, so he's been working to get extra money to pay for the wedding and everything. And pretty much, he pretty much lets her know that, you know, everything is going to be fine with us, and no matter what happens, as long as we stay together, everything will be okay. So yeah, hold on to that, because that's definitely going to come to play at the end of this. Then we actually see that Aunt Vi is visiting her doctor, and we come to find out that she's positive for lupus. So we now realize that's what she's been battling this whole time. You know, it's a chronic illness, but if she, you know, if she actually abides by the treatment, she should be okay. But we can definitely see this has really hit her really deep, and it actually pained me, because we see that you know, Aunt Vi is like she's like the patriarch of the family, and she's always active and is always doing things, and then now finding out that she has lupus, this has completely shaken her world. We also see that later on, she actually ends up calling back Darla and lets her know that she can't actually host the dinner, but she's going to actually set up a takeout dinner for, you know, from the High Yellow. And she's also going to make sure that they get her special key lime pie. So we actually see that, yeah, she's really torn up. And right now Hollywood's out of town, so she's kind of going through this grief by herself. Alright, the first case I'm going to talk about is Charlie and Remy. And then I'm going to talk about Calvin and Nova, because that was a story in and of itself as well. And then I'm going to actually talk about, you know, the reuniting of Darla and her parents. Alright, so Charlie and Remy. Charlie and Remy are definitely on a high after, you know, the Brown Sugar Festival, and people loved it so much that they're talking about doing it, you know, every year. And you know, they pretty much go back and forth and say that, you know, we make a really good team, you know. And he was like, we should celebrate, and you know, we should go out somewhere. And Charlie was like, why don't we stay in? And he's like, yeah, stay in and we can have dessert afterwards. And she was like, ooh, dessert, okay. So pretty much she asked him, like, you know, what do you see going on between us? And he was like, I don't know, but I'm getting there, you know. And he actually admits that he hasn't had sex since the loss of his wife. So, but he says, but he knows that but he pretty much tells her that he wants her. So then we actually get the night of, you know, she has her bathrobe on, she is giving straight sexy eyes, and more like that, I'm going to take you down the night tease. Because Charlie was looking Charlie was getting sexy, sexy steam and just sex energy throughout this scene. And then the next thing you know, she takes off that bathrobe, and all of a sudden, Remy's like, damn! I was like, I hear you, Remy. Yes, because Charlie was ready. They start making out and everything, and then all of a sudden, while they in the middle of it, he's saying that, he's like, you're so beautiful, and I want you forever. And you're the only one I ever want, and all of this. And we actually see that this really just startles Charlie. Like, boo-boo, you were doing too much talking and not enough what. So that completely threw Charlie off. So therefore they started talking, and he was saying that, do you ever think you want to get married again? Do you ever think you want to have children? Because I've always wanted kids. And she's like, I just got out of a marriage, I'm trying to, at least wait to see what happens between us before. But she says, no, marriage and kids are not on my mind right now. So that just messed it up. And I'm like, Remy, you idiot. What's wrong with you? I mean, because I was just waiting for them to take it there. Because, obviously the passion and the love is there. But, one, she just got out of a divorce. And he's still coming off of losing his wife. So I really was like rooting for them to get together, because they just work well together, but they pretty much decided that they're going to take it one day at a time, and that they're going to kind of take it slow and just see where things go with each other, because obviously the passion's there, but they're obviously not ready to take that step. But they say that in time we'll know what this is going to lead between the two of us. So that's what we had with Charlie and Remy. Now I'm going to talk about Nova and Calvin. Nova is out with Sierra. She's talking about Robert and saying that she thought Robert was good, but obviously Robert had his own agenda as far as like, he saw me in a certain way, he saw us in a certain way, and it just wasn't in congruence with what I wanted. It was like he was dreaming for me, and, I just couldn't go with it anymore. And then Sierra was like, well, it's good that you found out before it was too late, before you were so sucked up into his world, you wouldn't know who you were anymore. And while that's going on, we see a guy comes in, and we see it's Calvin. And immediately, that chemistry between the two of them was still there, even after all that time. Because we haven't seen Calvin since that night, since the end of, since the season 1 finale, when they were out, having a good time at this bar, and then, one of his, fellow police officers comes up. And remember, Nova wrote that article about, police brutality and police abuse of power. And all of a sudden, once, his fellow officer found out who Nova was, he immediately just started being very disrespectful to her. They got into a fight, and before they took him out, he spit in Nova's face. So that was the last time we saw Calvin. But immediately, even though all this time, and it's been months since they've seen each other, that chemistry is still there. And even Sierra kind of noticed it. Like, it was like the both of them just kind of saw a ghost. It was like they were in their own world. And it was like Sierra was just like, what the hell is this? Hi, I'm Sierra. And I mean, she was just kind of like caught off like, whoa. Because obviously that connection was really deep. But then he says that he'll call her, and she says, okay, yeah, call me. And then her and Sierra start talking. She's like, well, who was he? She's like, somebody from my past. And she was like, you never mentioned him before. She's like, well, some things in the past should just stay in the past. We see that they actually meet up later on. And he really lets her know how he really feels. That he said that, I played sports because that's what my family wanted me to do. I became a police officer because that's what my family wanted me to do. I got married because that's what my family wanted me to do. And I had children because that's what my wife wanted, and also my family wanted me to have kids. and you were the only person that actually helped me to be myself. You know, you were the only choice that I made for me, and you make me a better man, and I'm really in love with you, and I've never stopped loving you. And you can just look at him. He meant it. He is in love with Nova. You know, but I'm saying Nova just got that special energy about her that just makes men fall for her. But you know, Nova's a free spirit, so Nova pretty much told him the truth, and she didn't get it, and she just kept it real with him. She was like, "Look, yeah, I am freedom for you, but for me, you're prison." And he did not like that at all. He was like, "What do you mean? How could you say something like that? How can I be a prison for you?" And she says, "Because I can never fully be myself with you. You know, I'm out here fighting for my people, and you know, having you around me, I would have to constantly do a bunch of explaining." And then she says that, or better yet, how is it that, you know, a young boy who's brutalized by the police department, and the police department gets away with it and nothing is ever done? How is that going to work with us? And then she was like, "Look, you know, yeah, I do like you and all of that, but at the end of the day, it will never work with us." You know, and he was saying, and then he was like, But he says that I would never get away from you fighting for your people. But then she was like, "Yeah, but you never asked either. And just because you wish for something to be, doesn't mean it actually is." Because I was like, it was obvious that there is real chemistry and love there, but circumstances is in the way of that. So we saw all that go on. So we eventually see that the next day, you know, I think they probably did do it. I don't know if they did or not, but obviously they spent the whole night talking probably. And then the next day she pretty much wished them well, and he pretty much left, and you know, they decided to go their separate ways. But it's just sad that, you know, because we definitely knew from the beginning that, yeah, they definitely had strong chemistry, but they just have crazy situations, not only on his side of things, but also on her side. You know, her being a revolutionary and her being an activist is definitely going to coincide with him because he's a police officer. And some of the things that she wrote about definitely caused issues with them, and we saw that in season 1. So we definitely see that, you know, Nova's in her head right now that it's just not going to work between them. Then we actually get a scene with, you know, the whole family's over. You know, Nova, Charlie, Ralph Angel, Darla, Blue's there, and they just kind of having a good time and everything. They're about to meet Darla's parents, and they even show the scene where Blue is put on a tie, and he's like, "I wonder if they're gonna like me, you know, because I've never had a grandmother before, and the only grandpa I knew was Grandpa Ernest, and I called him, you know, Pop. I called him Pop." And, you know, I know he's in heaven watching over us. So he pretty much says that, you know, Pop is still here, but what I call my other grandpa. And, you know, Ralph Angel was like, we can call him Grandpa, you can call him Pop, or you can call him G-Dad, or, you know, and he decided to settle on Grandpa. And, you know, if anything, we see that also Ralph Angel is really happy. He's like, look, he was talking about, he actually lets the family know that, you know, that Proctor's calculation was off, and that he actually made 20%. He actually made 20% more than he realized. So he did more to break even. He actually made a 20%, you know, he made a 20% gain. So everybody's happy about that. So they were like, okay, so Nova was like, oh, so it means you won't have to work that job no more. He's like, no, I need the job, you know, just to, you know, have a check stub to give to my parole officer. And we see that kind of tore Charlie up, because Charlie still was going to cover him on that end, but Ralph Angel's trying to be independent. So we saw all that go on. Then we get the arrival of Darla's parents. And her parents are being played by Michael Michelet, and definitely, I like her on Star playing Iyanla, but I can't stand her on Star because Iyanla's a bitch. But I love her character on here, and I think her name is Dawn-Lyen, and the father's name is Quincy, and the father's played by Roger Gouverneur Smith. Great actor. I mean, love him, even from when I first saw him in Do the Right Thing, just a terrific talent. So these are Darla's parents, and Darla actually introduces Ralph Angel to them. At first I thought there was going to, and there was some issues there, but it's deeper, because we're coming to find out that the real issues that are between her and her parents, in some way, she's caused them, because when she was an addict, she was doing all of her crap. And for those of you who have somebody in your family as an addict, them addicts be pulling those games. But I'm going to get to that. So we see that, they actually greet each other, and then they introduce Blue. The grandmother is like, Darlene, she's like, I know you don't know me, but can I get a hug? And he's like, okay, and he hugged her, so he now has a grandma. And then when he went to Quincy, he just immediately hugged his grandfather, and he at first was hesitant to hug Blue, but then eventually he gave in. So we actually see that the father is very headstrong, and obviously the vision that he had for his daughter is not the vision that he is obviously not the reality that he wanted for her. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But Ralph Angel's very respectful. He invites them in. We actually see during the dinner, they're all engaging with each other, but we definitely can tell there's some tension surrounding Darla's father. And, he immediately when he does start talking, he congratulates Nova on being on television, talking about Zika. He said that you're very impressive and you're very intelligent and you look great on television. And then he talked about Charlie, and he was saying that, I know you being a sports manager, and now you're the first black woman to own a mill in Louisiana. You're very impressive. He's like, both of you ladies are very well accomplished, and Darla can learn a lot from you two. And I was like, what? I was like, dang, you just gonna shade your daughter like that after 6 years? This is how you gonna talk about your daughter? But then Ralph Angel cut that with a knife. He was like, we learned a lot from Darla as well. Darla's a good teacher. And, she's a great mother to Blue, and Blue has excelled so much because of Darla. And then even Charlie chimed in. She says that, look, having Darla on my team working this mill, she's unreplaceable. She brings a lot to my business, and I don't know how I would manage anything without her. So they all backed Darla up and shut their dad down. And I was like, okay, but there's going to be more to that. And then we also see that later on, we see that Vi and Darlene, Darla's mother talk, and she's like packing, because both of them have to work, she's going to let, Vi's going to let Blue stay with her. So they packing Blue stuff up. In the meantime, her and Darlene are talking, and she was saying, I'm so sorry that I missed all these years. And she's like, I understand, it was a hard time, but she's a totally different person now. But then she says, but thank you for the money, it really helped. So we come to find out, Darla's parents were sending Vi money to help care for Blue, while Darla was out there doing her thing, being an addict, and also being a prostitute. So we come to find out that Darla's parents were supporting her. They just weren't there physically, but they were sending money to help out with Blue. So I was like, that was interesting, but, but then Vi was like, look, I understand that you weren't there then, but you're here now, and that's all that matters. She's not the same person. She's gotten her life together. She's now being a good mother, and I know she's going to be a good wife, and all of that. So we saw all that go on. Then we get a scene later on with Dawn-Lyen and Darla, and you know, pretty much Darla kind of lets it out that she's kind of bothered that for 6 years I've written to you, I've called you, and you haven't responded to any of my calls. Like, how could you just cut me off like this? But then Darlene gives her a wake-up call, like, you obviously forgotten everything that you did around that time. How you will just call us for money, you will be high asking for money, you'll be high yelling, and then you'll be high, saying you're gonna come home, but you never did, and it's like, look, you put me and your father through hell during that time. So we decided to distance ourselves because it's like nothing we did helped. We did give you money, and you would just blow it on drugs. We told you to come home, and you would never show up. Like, don't you dare sit up here and act like we didn't care about you, because we did. But we got to the point that it broke us, and we had to break away because it tore your father up. Your father was very, very troubled throughout that time. So we needed to break and give us distance so that we can come together as a family. And that humbled Darla, and Darla apologized to her mother and said she was sorry for what she put them through. Then we see that she apologized to her father, and I think her parents live in D.C. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But I don't think her family lives in Louisiana. But then all of a sudden, she goes to talk to her father. And, she apologizes to her father for all that she's done. But she says that, look, I've grown now. I'm clean. I'm going to be a great mother. And I'm also going to be, I'm going to make a great wife. And he was like, I'm glad that you came clean with me, but you need to come clean with Ralph Angel. So I'm like, what you talking about, Daddy? What's going on? So we actually see Ralph Angel is out there cleaning his boots because he just got home from working at the shrimp processing place. He's got a smile on his face looking at Darla, but we see Darla has a look of fear and a look of sadness. And all of a sudden, she pretty much just approaches him. She's like, look, I need to tell you I'm sorry. Please don't judge me. I feel bad. I feel worse than it already is. And, I really don't want you to hate me for this and all of that. And he's like, Darla, you scaring me. What you trying to say? What's going on? And she drops a bomb. She said that, around the time we first got together, I went back home to hang out with some of my old high school friends, and we had this party, and there was a lot of drugs there. Some real heavy stuff. So I was there getting high, getting drunk, was turning up with my friends, and I ended up having sex with this guy. And she's never mentioned this to Ralph Angel at all. And so Ralph Angel is like literally just like sinking every time, like every word she's saying to him, he's like sinking, but then it blew up when she said that Blue possibly may not be your son. You could see that crushed Ralph Angel's world to the point my heart literally sank, like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Wow. And we know Ralph Angel may be a lot of things. Yeah, there's times where Ralph Angel can act like a little bitch. And there's times where Ralph Angel can just do the unthinkable to the point you want to punch him. But at the end of the day, he is a great father to Blue. And the one thing that he loves the most is Blue. And to pretty much rip that rug from under him, to let him know that possibly Blue may not be his, yo, that is going to be some drama next week on Queen Sugar. But yeah, that scene had me like, oh my God. But yeah, this was a really good episode. But that ending had Blue me away. Because I was like, wow. So Darla finally came forward with a deep dark secret, because her father told her that, look, if you really want to be that, you're going to have to come clean. You know, you can't go into a marriage with a lie. So, if anything, I'm starting to see her father ain't all too bad as we thought. Yeah, her father got some ways with him, but we actually saw in that moment he did love his daughter, and he was saying that, look, if you really love Ralph Angel, you got to tell him the truth. So that's what we have, y'all. So yeah, next week is going to be even crazier. So I can't wait. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I've started a GoFundMe. You can find that link in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Queen Sugar. So until then, everybody, take care.